Hey, Redeemer. Recently, we celebrated Mother's Day, and I asked the question, am I even allowed to talk about moms anymore? Motherhood is taking quite a hit in our culture right now, women in general under attack. And you might be wondering what in the world is going on? What happened to the world that I once knew? I mean, not even that long ago, a few years ago. What happened to normal? Well, I'm going to answer that question for you right now. The answer is we are in the middle of a mostly nonviolent civil war in our country. The war isn't geographical or even political. The war is actually theological. It is a war against God. It is a war of worldviews. The Judeo-Christian worldview of the Bible, which has been the basis for our laws and institutions for over 2 centuries now. It has defined normal in our country for a while now, versus atheistic, man-centered, secular worldview. This battle's been raging for decades in our country, but it's been supercharged by the injection into our culture of the radical, tyrannical, and just plain evil worldview of Marxist socialism. This is not merely politics that Christians we just stay out of and focus on church stuff. No, this war is coming for us, whether we like it or not. And that's because Marxism is a worldview. It impacts every area of life, not just politics and government. It impacts law, philosophy, entertainment, finance, business, the arts, education, the humanities, the media, theology, religion, and even church. Many of those who are watching this video right now, you started coming to Redeemer, if Redeemer is your home church, because elements of this socialistic worldview infiltrated your church. It's quite possible the fastest growing religious movement of all of our lives, making this a war that Christians must fight and one that we must win. If we don't, Marxism doesn't exactly have a track record of protecting life, human rights, or freedom. It justifies evil, hatred, violence, and revolution, so much so, in fact, that tens of millions of innocent people were murdered by Marxists in the 20th century alone. Did you hear that? Tens of millions of innocent people. I said, it's grandstanding, the hyperbole. No, that actually happened when Marxist ideology becomes the driving force in a culture. So since it seeks to assimilate all of life, you and I, we need to be equipped. So we decided to let 2 world experts, and truly world experts on today's brand of socialism, we've allowed them to host a workshop at Redeemer called the Theology of Marxism. It's a Thursday night, all day Friday, and Saturday morning conference. It will not be live streamed, but they've told me that all the videos will be up quickly, like within a week. This workshop is going to cover the ideology of Marxism as we are seeing it today, how we got here, what it believes, what its goals are for all of us, and especially how to defeat it. There will be teachings, panel discussions, and Q&As to help you and to help me understand how this is creeping into our lives and what to do about it. Now, I just want to let you know, one of our speakers is James Lindsay. He is quite possibly the world expert on the neo-Marxist socialism that we're seeing now. He is coming to our church to do some of the teachings and do the panels and Q&As at our church. And you just need to know that he is not only the source that all anti-woke authors are going to get information about this, but James Lindsay is also an atheist. Again, why would we have an atheist come to our church? Because this is a truth war. And God, in his common grace, often allows non-Christians to see problems clearly and understand how to fix them. And sometimes I think that's a judgment on the church, that he allows that to happen outside of the church in order to motivate the church to get with it. So God did that with the Revolutionary War, using Christians and non-Christians together to give us our country. He's done it throughout history, world history, and he's doing it again now with non-Christians like James Lindsay and others who see the threat and are eager to fight it. Also, there's nothing sacred about this space that we worship in every weekend. He's not going to defile it by being there. That's ridiculous. Why? Because the church is the people. The church is not the building that we meet in. And he's not going to preach on the weekend. He's not going to evangelize you for atheism. He's not going to try to debunk Christianity. He's coming with Michael O'Fallon because we have a common enemy. Michael O'Fallon, being a Reformed Baptist, we have a common enemy, a common goal of defeating that enemy for our own personal good and for the good of future generations. I've met pastors who were jailed during Marxist regimes in their country. And if that happens here, or worse, if that were to happen, churches shut down, pastors in jail, all of that stuff, which again is not hyperbole or fear mongering, because it's actually happened in history. If that kind of thing happens here in our country, I want to be able to look at my kids and my grandkids and say, I tried to stop it. I tried to do with the small influence that I have here. I tried to do something to equip our church to stop it. Also, my hope is that him being here around the people of Redeemer, that he'll see your kindness, your love, your passion for the truth, and that you, being around you, will plant seeds in his heart that God will grow one day, Lord willing, into a recognition of his sin and his need for a Savior, just like God has done for all of us. Now, one last thing, in case you're wondering, I do not at all see this as a distraction from the gospel. The gospel will spread whether we are free, in chains, or all executed. Marxism, however, is another gospel. It is a cult. It is a false religion. And in the words of 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5, we are all told we must, it is a command, to destroy ideologies that raise themselves up against the knowledge of God, just like we do with Mormonism, Roman Catholicism, and other ideologies. We do that because that's what we're told to do. Why? Because when we do that, when we do things like defeat Mormonism or Roman Catholicism or Marxism, whatever, the gospel becomes clear to people. They see the truth in light of error. And on top of that, what happens is that when comes to our nation, it protects the freedom that we've enjoyed in this nation, not to worship, but to exercise religion freely, to live out our religion in our lives and allow others to do the same. Something, by the way, that has led to the greatest expansion of the gospel in world history. The freedoms that we have here in America has led to that. So this is a protection of that for the spread of the gospel. So this is not a gospel distraction at all. So this workshop is about equipping you to stand and fight for the truth. And because the people putting on this conference really want you to be a part of it, they've given us a 50% off promo code. So if you go to the website, sovereignnations.com, and you find the banner and you click on it and you register, as you go down, you're going to see a place to put in a promo code. You put in the code RBCAZ, all lowercase, and it's 50% off automatically. So you can be a part of that. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I personally would be happy to answer those questions for you. And one last thing, I wish that Marxism was like other things that we can just ignore and it'll just go away, but we absolutely can't. We ignore this, if we're not equipped to face this in our homes, at our jobs, at maybe the schools that our kids go to, or even on our recreation, if we're not equipped for this, its goal is to assimilate everything, including the church. So you and I, we need to be equipped to stand. And so that's why we're putting on this workshop, June 9th to 11th. Hope to see you there.